Shalom and welcome. You're listening to my show on Oaz Community Radio. Today, I have brought in Mr. Ken Wilson, who will talk to us about Heaton Park. Thank you, Ken, for coming in.
Thank you.
My first question is, can you explain to my listeners where the park is based?
The park itself is actually in Higher Blakely, Manchester. A lot of people do think it's in Prestwich, but the park itself is in Higher Blakely, so it's very much a Manchester park.
How old is the park?
The park is approximately 115 years old. The park opened in 1902. I think it was September 1902. However, the park had actually been open since the January, but the official opening was in September 1902. What had happened is that back in the late 19th century, the Lord Wilton, who owned many lands, including Heaton Park and some other lands, was suffering from major debts due to death taxes at the time. So he needed to actually get rid of land. And at the time, it was kind of in conjunction of the sort of middle classes rising up and the aristocracy going down. And ultimately, you know, they needed to get rid of the land, and the sort of middle classes were coming up to a point where they were getting quite affluent, and that's when we started developing parks. So we had, Phillips Park in Bradford, and we had Peel Park in Salford, Queen's Park in Collyhurst. So we had these parks developing, and so there was a whole movement for it. But the Lord Wilton wanted to get rid of the Heaton Park, so we offered it to the council for £275,000. But what had happened was that the council didn't want it. They went, we don't want it. We don't really need it at the moment. So he came back again. He said, okay, then if you take 45,000 plus, I'll build you a little bit of Blakely New Road, and we'll do a bridge here, and we can sort of connect it to Manchester, because that's why people sometimes think it's in Prestwich, because actual Heaton Park was connected to Manchester by the Lord, and then the council accepted that as a fee, and they didn't sign the documents until I think it was probably August 1902. However, the park had been open for the Whit Day sort of walks and parades prior to that.
What are the opening times of Heaton Park?
Heaton Park is open every day at 8 p.m. and it closes at dusk. Now, this might confuse people and thinking, well, what does dusk mean? So basically, is when the sun is that kind of half an hour due to coming down, that's where the park shuts up. So again, we start moving people out of the park about say half an hour before closing, and we get the park empty. So again, you just have to be mindful, is when the sun goes down, it's when the park will be closing.
That's very interesting. Are there any regular activities in the park?
Yeah, we've got lots of things to do. I mean, if I can take you on a kind of journey, if you come through the St Margaret's entrance, which is actually in Prestwich, which again confuses people, you can come up there, and the first thing you'll see is our Commonwealth standard bowling greens, and we've got a fabulous bowling green club there, and anybody can join, and it's go out and have a game of bowls. If you go around the corner, we have the Hidden Gem, which is our garden centre. That's got some fabulous plants you can buy there. It's also got a brand new potting shed for kids, where you can paint pots. They've also got outdoor games, and they've got a lovely little cafe there. If you go around the corner of that, we also have a community allotment where people can get involved in doing allotments, doing digging, doing a whole range of things. You come round the back of there, you'll see the horses in the fields where we do stabling. Then down into the Dell, where we've got some lovely ponds, and then onto the Western Pleasure Grounds, where if you go around the pleasure grounds, we've got some lovely gardens that you can have a look around. Next to the gardens is probably, one of our most popular attractions, which is the Animal Centre, which is a range of sort of different kind of either farm animals or just like, rabbits or chickens. The sort of most exotic is an alpaca that we call Iceman. So lots of things to do there. And then if you go through there, we've got our cafe offer in the farm centre, and then once you're you're kind of in the core of the park by then. So you've got Heaton Hall, you've got the Dower House, which is the home for Manchester beekeepers. We've got our children's play area that has a really sort of wonderful set, and we've just renewed one of our iconic, which is the big slide, which is now in the shape of a UFO. And if you're around that area, you can pick up the land train, and that will take you around the park. Also, we've got a cafe offer, and then we've obviously got boats. We've got a municipal golf course. We also have a vintage tram. And again, there's so much to do in Heaton Park. It's not just like a half an hour in and so forth. And obviously we have, our regular walks. We've got British Military Fitness in there. We have an astronomy group. Again, lots of little sort of community activity going in there. So yeah, lots of things going on.
Including the ice cream van and the balloon stands.
The ice cream man and the balloons. Yeah, always very much. Although on a very hot day, the queues can reach, I would, probably 20, 40, 50, 60 people full. It's very popular.
Right. Now can you tell my listeners, as everybody may be aware, Park Life came to Manchester Heaton Park last month. Can you tell my listeners any interest information about Park Life, the security that's arranged and how many people turn up?
Well, Park Life is probably one of our sort of premier events that we have in our park, and the way we view it is that it's a real great sort of cultural activity for youth. And I know people have a different perspective on it, but from our perspective it's a very safe and a very well managed event, and we usually get up to 79,000 people per day on the event. And again, there's a whole succession of meetings with GMP, with security firm, with the council services, to actually bring that together. One of our sort of key sort of elements is, to ensure that it has as little impact on the residents as we possibly can. And one of the more innovative things that we've done is create a community impact team, where we actually have a team during Park Life that only respond to residents' needs. So if say somebody was doing something rather naughty outside your house, then we would bring somebody in to either manage that or help deal with that. And in the same way, we have a centre open. So again, yeah, Park Life is a really, really nice festival. And again, I was there on the Sunday and it had a really nice vibe, really nice atmosphere, and everybody was having a lot of fun.
My friends who live nearby are very impressed that the last 2 years you've got car permits. So that means anyone who lives on that road has a permit, and only them are allowed to park on that road. They feel very impressed, secure that, they also have a voice to how the Park Life Festival should go. So thank you for that.
Well, you're welcome. Well, that's one of the key aims. One of the key aims is that we have consultations. We have a consultative group that we bring in, and we listen to what residents say, and then each year we sort of have a learning experience. We think, well, maybe that didn't work, and then we'll do something different for the following year. So again, thank you very much.
So my next question for you, Ken, is I believe there are some activities taking place in the summer. Will they cost? And the most exciting one I believe you've got is that the FriendsFest is coming to Manchester Heaton Park. Is that true?
Yes, we've got the FriendsFest. It's a really, really great event. Well, and what it is, it basically recreates the sets from Friends. So what you remember as being Monica's flat to Central Perk, to sort of other events. It's kind of like a museum walk around, but they'll have activity in there. Apparently they're going to have a big screen that'll be showing Friends episodes or favourite Friends episodes, and it just have a big Friends sort of vibe to it. One of the things is that we didn't realise how truly popular Heaton Park as a location would be. So there was 20,000 tickets made available, which were sold out within the first 3 days of it happening. And it was really funny because one of the park security sort of phoned me up and said, I'm really interested in getting these Friends Fest tickets, but I've just noticed on the website that there isn't any available. And that's how I found out, because we were expecting, maybe it'd be like a week, 2 weeks, so we had no idea of how that would do. So yeah, we're very excited about coming in. They'll be here on the 4th of August for and then there for the 10 days. So hopefully we'll see how it goes, but we're expecting a lot of friends coming to have a good time.
Who's your favourite character?
I would say Monica.
Oh, okay, because mine is Joey.
Well, I like Monica because I kind of like the uptight. I'm not particularly uptight, but I like the fact that she is. But then again, it's such a program that kind of spans sort of generations. And the great thing for me is that my daughter, who's now 12, has started watching it, and it is a truly timeless program. You can't, and even when you just like slip an episode, I watched an episode the other day where Joey was, they were trying to have a dinner, but there was always problems, and then Joey was trying to get to eat, and he was trying to, he just each time it's just a very funny program.
The maitre d' has asked if you'd be willing to reconsider switching to a smaller table.
Maybe we should just eat now.
You can't order until the entire party has arrived. Restaurant policy.
Well, how about this? Another table leaves, right? But there's still some food left on their plates. Okay, what's the restaurant's policy about people eating that?
It's frowned upon.
But it happens.
Agree, couldn't agree more. Now tell me something. So my listeners who may be coming to the park on a regular basis or throughout the summer, is there any parking facilities for them, or is any public transport available?
For Heaton Park, we've got really good links. I mean, ultimately, on a dry day, we can get up to, say, 2,000 cars into the park. But then sometimes, that's because we have an overflow car park that can take 1,500 cars if it rains, and that sort of limits the amount of people going. But again, we've got some great bus services coming from Manchester and Bury. But also one of our main, what we'd encourage people to do is take the lovely Metrolink, because we have the Heaton Park Metrolink station. If you want to come off there, we've got a turn off from I think it's junction 19, from the M60. So again, you know, we're quite an accessible park. And again, I suppose if you're thinking that when the Pope came to Heaton Park in 1982, allegedly there was 200,000 people in the park. So we can fit quite a lot of people in, and I suppose on a hot day, you know, you might get a bit of overspill into the residences and stuff, but I think people don't mind because, again, you know, people are coming out to enjoy the park.
Does the car park cost?
The car park cost at the moment £1.50 on weekends and bank holidays and school holidays, and that's 10 a.m. till 5 p.m. But in the weekdays where there's you know, it's school days, there's no charge.
Are there any volunteering opportunities within the Heaton Park that people can come and offer their help?
Yeah, we've got lots of volunteering opportunities. We have people that can volunteer with the farm centre. We have a programme of activity that people can do there. We also have the Tramway, which again is a volunteer organisation. So we were interested in engineering, and there's a good way of doing that. But then we also have like groups. You know, we have the beekeepers, and you know, a bit of training there. You could probably volunteer with them. And you know, the bowls group. I mean, they're a group of volunteers and doing that. And another one I can think of is the allotment. I mean, they're always keen on having volunteers, and there's also training there in horticultural sort of stuff. So yeah.
If one wants to get involved and help, then you should go on the website manchester.gov.uk/Heaton Park. Is it true that Heaton Park is the second largest park in Europe?
We would say it was the largest municipal park in Europe. Now, I know there's a bit of contention between ourselves and Phoenix Park in Dublin, but we say that Heaton Park is the biggest municipal park in Europe, and I think if we say it enough, then it is.
Thank you so much, Ken, for inspiring my listeners about the excitement and the activities that happen in Heaton Park. Have a good day.